Shalom, everyone. Look, I want to give a quick talk about pain. You see, there's one thing we don't want to experience, and that's pain. And it's understandable, okay? It's understandable that you want to avoid suffering, and that you want to avoid um how do I say it? That you want to avoid harm. Okay, that you want to avoid harm? That's natural. Every creature should want to avoid harm upon the happening to them. There's nothing selfish nor evil about it. However, here's the problem. Sinners want to define for themselves what is good for them, and don't have the capacity, nor do they have the ability to determine what's good for themselves. And why are they doing that? Because they don't trust the Father. They don't trust the Most High. Now look, the human mind is a great thing. I mean, and the human heart also. You see, you the thing about the human heart, the human soul is you don't really have to literally be somewhere to experience as if you're there. For example, if you know how delicious an apple pie is, you can only imagine in your soul an apple pie, and you can feel the enjoyment of the apple pie. Is that a real apple pie in your mouth? No. But see, that's what the human mind with the human heart are capable of doing. That's what your soul is capable of doing. You're capable to imagine, and there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing out of touch with reality with that. You know, architects and masons that design buildings and bridges and design streets, they imagine mathematically in their minds their design before they design it. You see? So being able to imagine is something, it's human and it's very powerful. You see, there is no dark side to it. If you, however, are not in agreement with Jesus Christ, you easily you will easily become how do I say you will easily become trapped in your imaginations. Why? Because your imaginations will not be based on truth. They may be facts in your imaginations, but will not be founded on truth. You see? And for example, okay, many of us are familiar with this such circumstances. I'm going to give examples now. You have in a group of people, like in a classroom or at the workplace, there is this one guy that people don't like. And they're basically imagining that this guy is bad news. Now hold on, they've given this guy a negative meaning, right? That's what they did. Each of those individuals he agreed that that guy or that let me say that woman is bad news. Now what happens every time the name of that individual is mentioned? They become upset. Why? Because they don't like that individual, and it's very hard for them to endure their existence. Now hold on a minute. That individual they don't like. They did not attack them nor harm them. And when their name is mentioned, nothing supernatural happens that affects them. The thing is, those people in their own minds, they've imagined harm from that individual. So now every time that individual's name is mentioned, they are feeling harm even though there is no harm. So basically, they are victimizing themselves by their own imagination. And you see, how often does it happen that we are the victims of our own imagination? Because listen, you have objective pain, that's physical pain, and you have emotional pain when someone, I would say, rejects you or treats you badly. However, there's also a kind of pain that is self-inflicted. That's pain by you believing a lie about yourself. You see, and when you believe a lie about yourself, You see, every time facts come around that disprove that lie, you know, pay seriously. Just tell me, what does it has to do with you when people don't like you? What is it not? What does it mean if you don't like something? It means you're not emotionally attached to it. And see, the fact that there are people that only want to acknowledge someone or something if they are emotionally attached to it, that proves how disturbing they are. You see? So it reveals the darkness of them. Yet you tend to feel um, insecure. You tend to feel endangered when people don't like you. Why are you feeling endangered? Because you are believing a lie about yourself. You see? And this is it. The lie is that those other people have the power to define you. That's a lie. Look, it is true that how people think about you may have some consequences for you. That is true. But it's not true that they are capable to define you. They can't. The only reason, don't say the only way their likes and dislikes can affect you. I'm not talking about just them talking bad about you and there's some consequences for you. I'm talking about when their likes and dislikes haunt you and have a deep impact on your life. The only way that's possible is when you agree with the lie that they have the power to define you. You see? And guys, that's where I don't say all of our pain, but that's where most of our pain comes from. By us agreeing with lies about ourselves. And you know, guys, the Lord wants us free from evil. You see? And this is how the Lord often does it. The Lord will allow us to go through suffering. Why? Because after a while, the suffering will have no impact on you anymore. You see, when we encounter an uncomfortable circumstance, we want uncomfortable circumstance to leave, or we want to flee from the uncomfortable circumstance. You see? And often in that state, we do not ask ourselves why we are uncomfortable. We just feel discomfort. We imagine that there's danger and we want to get out of there. Now listen, if there's a real objective danger to your life, then absolutely you should get out of there. But often that's not the case. Often we are in agreement with a lie, and we are not even aware that we are in agreement with a lie. So the Lord will permit that circumstance to remain, not because He's unable nor unwillingly to help you, but because He wants to prove to you that what you are imagining is a lie. And the most effective way for you to realize it's a lie is by going through whatever it is. Now, just because you are in agreement with a lie, that does not mean that there's nothing happening. You see, if there are people so-called not liking you or being negative towards you, that's a real thing happening, and it's wrong. What is not true, but it's not true that they have the power to define you, and the Lord wants you to realize that. Look, once you realize that they don't have the power to define you, they can be disliking you as much as they want. They will notice that their dislike does not have any impact upon you, and the consequence will be they'll be embarrassed and they'll flee. They'll flee from you. You see, the thing is when you agree with a lie about yourself, You are empowering the abusers, where they are demons that are working through people or where they are people themselves. That pain that you are experiencing, it will not endure forever. That pain is there because it has its purpose. Once the purpose, eh, um, let me say, once the purpose has been reached and the purpose has been done, the pain will be discarded of. It won't be needed anymore. You see, and that's the thing with humility. Humility is not about humiliation. Humility is about you agreeing with Christ Jesus about what he says, about what he says you are, about how he sees you. You see, often we want to pay off other people, and basically by doing that, we want to pay off demon spirits so they will leave us alone, so they won't attack us. It doesn't work that way. You see, often we want to give in to the powers of darkness so that we will be comfortable. Listen, the Lord never intended for you to be comfortable with the things on earth. The Lord wants you to be comfortable in trusting Him. You see? Because once you become comfortable with the things of the earth, you become emotionally stuck with those things. And when you become emotionally stuck with those things, you become so vulnerable and you become an easy target for manipulation. Why? Because when you are emotionally stuck to something, you then that thing has power over you, and because that thing is something that can be taken away from you, then the only thing people have to do, or the only thing demon spirits have to do, is to come near that thing you're attached to, and they have power and they can control what you're thinking and how you act. You see, the Lord does not want that for you. The Lord wants you to be comfortable in Him. So that's why, listen, often we want to avoid uncomfortable circumstances. But the reason why we become uncomfortable is because we fail to see God's hand in everything. Or better said, we still have some agreements with the world that the Lord wants us to get rid of. I'm not saying that if you see danger that you shouldn't go. I'm just talking about just you being feeling uncomfortable and immediately you want relief. When you become uncomfortable, pray about it. Do that. I'm not saying the uncomfortable feeling or a comfortable state of mind will leave immediately, but little by little you'll begin to discover the lie you were agreeing with. You see? And again, I've used the example of people not liking you because that's one thing that bothers millions of people. Those other people, they don't have the power to define you. They have the ability to talk bad about you. They have the ability to influence other people's opinion about you. They have the ability, physically, if the Lord permits, to attack you and even to murder and kill your body. But that's the only thing they can do. That's the only thing they are able to do within their abilities. And their abilities are quite limited. And even so, most of them won't go to the extreme by attacking you nor murdering you because they will lose a lot of their own comfort. The reason they so-called don't like you is because they imagine that you are intruding, invading, and harming their comfort zone, their personal space, something so uh, uh, as let me say a secure space that does not exist. So they're the ones that are the joke, not you. Well, I hope this video has benefited you, and may the grace of Christ Jesus be with you. Shalom.